I want everyone to think about their happy place. And their happy place is somewhere on this planet that when you think about it, you get shivers up your arm, up your neck. When you go there, you feel at peace, you feel calm, you feel connected, you feel at home. I think we all have somewhere on this planet that's our happy place. My happy place is always going to be where I grew up on the west coast of Canada. There we have trees older than most countries. We have bears and moose prowling through the undergrowth. We have the ocean smashing up against 1,000-meter peaks that erupt from the sea. There is no place like it for me. It is supernatural. And when I was trying to figure out what exactly I wanted to do with my life, I realized pretty early on I wanted to do something that could help protect this place that had imprinted on me so dearly. And pretty early on, I figured out that being an argumentative teenager didn't necessarily qualify me as a good lawyer. So I thought I'd give science a try. And I really thought that knowledge was power, logic would lead to solutions, and science could save our planet. So I did what many of you are doing. I got my degree, I got my training, and I got to work. And my first project was in my happy place. Big, beautiful stretch of coastline on the north coast of Canada, just below the Alaska border. And I was working on seagrass, underwater grass. And there was one seagrass meadow in particular. It was the biggest, most abundant, most beautiful meadow for hundreds of kilometers. And for some reason, a multinational petrochemical company wanted to build a pipeline directly across the seagrass bed. I thought, okay, this is what I've trained for. I'll go, I'll collect my data, I'll do my surveys, I'll see how the species interact and how they change, I'll make my reports, I'll file those reports, and logic will prevail, and the seagrass bed will be saved. They can build the pipeline somewhere else because it just doesn't make sense to build it there from a biodiversity perspective. And that's what I did. I dedicated over a month of my life collecting the data, making our reports, meeting with the community, filing them away. And I was actually drawn to Australia after that project, but I was reading a news article just about 2 months ago, and that pipeline has finally started construction. So all the work that I did, all the work that my colleagues did, really failed to achieve what we wanted to do and to protect that place. So I stand here now with quite a clear message for my younger self. As a scientist, as a researcher, as a conservationist, we know enough to save our planet. Yes, science is incredibly important. I do still consider myself a scientist, and I still do science, and it has its role. And it's been absolutely fundamental in understanding our natural world. Science in ecology, taxonomy, biogeochemistry has helped us understand species distributions, carbon cycles, atmospheric flow. We have exquisite detail about our natural world that we've never had before. We have more knowledge than we could ever imagine. But we also have more knowledge about the damage that we're doing to that planet. And while there are still gaps, we really have to start to ask ourselves, when does filling those gaps, when does that become a barrier to action? When is that just an excuse to delay fixing the problem? When is science, more science, not a solution, but just a delay? We know we've 70% of our wildlife populations in the last 70 years. 70%. Out of 10 animals on the planet, there are only 3 left today since 1970. In the time that it takes you to listen to this talk, we'll have lost 300 football fields of forest. We know this. And every year, we publish more and more and more papers on climate change, and we know that we're no longer facing the hottest year on record. We are facing the coldest year of the rest of our lives. So we know, and we have known for a very, very long time. Our house is on fire. And that brings me to a question I asked myself after that seagrass project. If your house is on fire, do you catalog your record collection? Do you take out your thermometer and really precisely understand just how hot those flames are? Or do you just put out the fire? For every hectare of forest lost, every coral reef bleached, every species doomed to extinction, we don't need another data point to prove that we're in a crisis. We are describing the foundation of our house as it burns down around us. And so the problem is not that we lack information. The problem is that we lack wisdom, connection, and vision. And truly, we need better morals, not better models. And these morals have been with us for generations. They're really simple. But we need to extend a deeper respect not only for ourselves, but for our planet. We need to rethink the reciprocity we have. We create a relationship where we're not just taking from the natural world, but we're actually starting to give back, even maybe doing restoration in places where we've done damage in the past. And we need to accept our responsibility in these actions and in these solutions, because we have an incredible capacity to act for good when we put our minds to it. Because it's not how much information that we accumulate that's going to define us. It's how we use that information that's going to empower us. And every one of us is driven to find connection in our day-to-day life, with each other, to our environment, to our past, to our future. It's universal. And I argue we need to move beyond the idea that simply filling people's head with knowledge and information and facts about the environment, about our planet, is going to make them care. It's not an information deficit. We need them to experience nature. We need them to connect. We need people to go feel the dirt. We need them to feel the sunlight as they're walking through the canopy. Feel the rush of the water as you take that first plunge into the waves. To go be alone in a truly awe-inspiring landscape and feel that blend of inner-outer self just fade away as you're inspired by our planet. When we build that connection, then people will start to care. So the average child today will spend 10 minutes outside playing in nature, in the environment. You compare that to the 7 hours they're going to spend in front of a screen. And it is so clear to me, we do not have an information deficit. We have a connection deficit. But luckily, that connection is everywhere. Our environment defines us. It's our food, it's our water, it's our home. These invisible threads run beneath our feet. And if we look just a little harder, we can find them and rebuild that connection. Lastly, we need vision, because even the best science without vision is going to drift aimlessly. Vision tells us where we want to go, who's coming with us, and how exactly we're going to get there. We need to imagine the world that we want, not just imagine the world that we fear losing. And the vision that I want is one where we can bring together the best of science, the best of society, and create a new and better relationship with our planet. So, how does all of this help my happy place? Well, you might have noticed some of the last photos have changed just a little bit. They've gotten a little bit wetter, they've gotten a lot less oxygen, and that's because I was able to expand my happy place. I got to go diving beneath the waves, and where I once only found solace wandering through the canopy of the rainforest, I now also get to find it swimming through the swaying canopy of the kelp forests. And let's start with the facts, because facts are still important. We still like facts. Kelp forests cover 1/3 of our world's coastlines, which means they live right next door to over 750 million people, including here in Sydney, in London, Los Angeles, Santiago, Vancouver, New York, all kelp cities. And in the course of a year, kelp forests will generate over $500 billion in economic value just by existing. But in the last 50 years, about 50% of kelp forests have degraded or disappeared, and this is happening on every continent. Now let's think about the story. Kelp forests have been intertwined with human cultures for millennia. It was over 10,000 years ago that people paddled down the kelp highway to explore the Americas. They found home and shelter and food amongst the kelp. You could use kelp to pay your taxes in 9th century Japan. Kelp forests are found throughout human culture, myth, and some truly, truly wild and interesting stories if you care to go look them up. But we are deeply connected to kelp wherever we live on our coasts. And there are some incredible cast of characters that live in a kelp forest. They have sea dragons roosting in their branches. They have the fuzziest creature that's ever lived hunting at their trunks. From snails to whales, kelp forests thread together an incredible tapestry of life. And these incredible species are also incredible primary producers. So in just a few days, kelp can grow the length of my arm. You can go snorkeling one day, come back the next, and it's a meter taller, which means they capture an incredible amount of carbon, which goes into fighting the climate crisis that I just spoke about. And yet, in many bays around the world, the kelp forest used to grow so thick, you could not drive your boat through it. You would be stuck still in the water. You go to those same bays today, smooth sailings. The kelp forests have been replaced by empty rock, barren, desert-like landscapes. So what do we do? How do we take what went wrong in me trying to help the seagrass and apply that to helping the kelp? What do we take what we've just talked about tonight and use that to find new solutions for kelp conservation and the people that are connected to them? Well, we've created the Kelp Forest Alliance as a global community of people who love kelp, work with kelp, are just kelp interested, and want to be part of the solution. So we're sharing wisdom on the best ways to steward our kelp forests. We're building connections not just with the kelp, but with each other as we all fight along the same path. And we're creating a vision for the future that we want to achieve. Because it's not just about helping the kelp. It's about helping the oceans. It's about saving the planet. It's about saving our home. So if you've ever loved somewhere, on land, in the sea, I want you to leave here tonight knowing we know enough to save it. I want you to join us and to turn that knowledge into action and put out the flames before our house burns down.